All right. And we are recording live.
You just had to be the first voice on the recording.
Your volume gets turned down.
No.
Your volume gets turned down just for that outburst alone.
Don't turn me down.
Okay.
You get an attitude when you get on the mic. You become someone else. Are we sure we want to do this?
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Oh my gosh. We're starting a podcast.
We are starting a podcast.
We have wanted to start a podcast for a year, right?
Year and some change, in all honesty.
Because we are in our 20s and we think we have something important to say.
And I'm actually not in my 20s. I'm turning 30.
I forgot.
Everyone thinks I'm in my 20s. So
you're disqualified then. You need to turn your mic and your headphones in.
I can do that. That's no problem.
Welcome to We Shouldn't Have a podcast. If it isn't already evident, we shouldn't have a podcast, but we wanted one. And we like the sound of our voices and we like chit-chatting with each other.
I feel like I'm in a crossover episode right now.
Why?
Because I do the other podcast.
Oh, we have a pro podcaster with us.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I enjoy speaking with you, and I think a lot of our conversations.
Oh God, I would hope so. You signed up to speak to me for 80 years.
When we're speaking about pop culture,
Oh.
when we're having different conversations, I think those conversations should have a light shined on them. So when I'm not speaking about sports, business, finance, those things, I enjoy. This is like my guilty pleasure. So I feel.
Oh my God. Well, step right up to the plate. We're happy to have you. No, we are definitely doing this together. I this morning I've felt like I have kind of made it feel like this is a me thing. It's not a me thing, babe. It's an us thing.
You know what? I'm here for support, and I'm here to support you, and I'm here to love on you, and I'm here to talk about the Real Housewives with you.
Oh my gosh, don't tease it yet, babe.
I get excited.
But for this first episode, we kind of just want to tell y'all our game plan because we have obviously toyed with the idea, like I said, about a podcast for probably a year or so. So this isn't random, but they're not paying us. We paid them a lot of money.
They might.
He's flashing a Starbucks symbol to the camera, which
nothing else comes of this podcast. A Starbucks gold card is the goal.
Maybe one day. Go watch this on YouTube after you stream it on podcast, and you'll see the logo. My grandparents are not gonna love the logo being flashed. Anyways, but what was I saying? Oh, our game plan. So we've had the idea of doing this podcast, but so it's not random. But then Saturday, Jackie, my husband. I will get to all of that. He was in the living room recording his 5 Sports Network podcast. And I was just in there like, we have one more month left living in Istanbul, which again, I'll explain in a minute. And I thought, why not? I listen to a podcast almost every single day, as we all do. But really this is just something we both really enjoy. So we thought we would do it. And the plan is to record 5 mornings a week, which he just found out. But we typically have our mornings like to ourselves. And so, so we thought, why not fill them up with a podcast? So that's our plan. We're going to be talking about relationships, what we're doing here, travel, just our life in general, pop culture. We are big reality TV people. So we plan on recapping all of our shows. And yeah. Really, the plan is to not have a strict plan. It's just to let us live.
The plan is to not have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the best plan.
Oh my gosh.
Save that. Record that. Write that down. That's good. I'm already dropping them. I'm already dropping them off day one. I'm good.
Wait. I know we got to tell y'all who we are. We haven't even said our names. But before...
that don't matter.
This doesn't matter. Before we get into that. I mean, our parents and our siblings are only listening to this, so they know us. But that brings me to a story really quick. It'll be brief. A couple weeks ago.
Cup around.
Hold on, I'm gonna sip my drink. A couple weeks ago.
My one request is you don't into the microphone.
This is so chaotic already, but I don't even care. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, Jackie comes to me and he's like, yeah, I had this really deep conversation with some of my teammates. And like, I can't even remember the context. It was something about like, one day
we had just had a conversation. Why we're starting off with this?
because
No idea.
because okay, so he's like, yeah, we had this really deep convo, and we were just saying like if we have daughters one day, like if he's bad, like we're just gonna tell her like you don't deserve that, and you just like can't live with that or something. Like he thought it was really sweet, and it's a good point, babe. But like he felt very profound information was gathered from that conversation, and me and the other wives were just joking. We were like, oh my gosh, like we are sharing our deepest fears, our like life's plans, like every wound we've ever like felt with each other within like an hour of getting together, and you guys have played together, traveled together, all this stuff for 6 months. And that is when you come to me and you're like, we had this really deep conversation.
But this is what I try to tell you. I tell you this, and I think I'm like, I don't know if you don't believe me or if you think you're just like, no, there's gotta be more. I don't know. Like from a guy's perspective, guys are very easy in the sense of like how we communicate and how we like explain things to one another. Like there isn't like, for a guy, it's like we want the info and we want to be done with the situation, like done. Like we want to move on to like the next thing. And so like the conversation we had in the context of it, I feel like was profound in the sense of we're at the airport, like it was like 10 in the morning. And at that point, who would have thought that we'd be sitting there talking about when we have children, and specifically to the effect of, we were talking about if we have daughters, that in that a very specific or important thing for them to know is that when you are like gonna settle down with a guy or be a guy or marry someone, that
not be a guy, be with a guy.
Be with the guy. Yes, no, be with the guy.
Lean this way a little bit because I don't know. I think you're fine. I think you're right. I'm worried my Turkish lamp is in his face.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Okay, continue.
As you cut me off. Anyways, and I say we like things short and I'm being long-winded about this, but that she needs to be his piece in the sense of what she, like, that's the only thing that a guy really wants in the long term is peace. And so any woman that provides that on any level will be able to find a husband in no time. That is the consent. That was the consensus.
Yes.
That is not 100% always the case, because like sometimes your marriage will not be peaceful. That is also true.
On any level, I was like, level am I of peacefulness?
But you are though. Like you've moved to Istanbul, you've been through an earthquake, you've done these things, and you've made our home a home in an apartment in Istanbul without a lot of our things. You've away from your family. Like there's reasons for you to have an attitude, not be happy, to find an issue, to take up an issue with something, whatever the case may be. So it's like you've been able to find peace within that, and also we have a great community on this team of.
You're gonna make me cry. That was so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really nice. I'm so sorry for messing with you. Are you gonna cry?
A little bit.
Baby, that was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just.
No, I was gonna say just a couple of days ago in my devotional, it was talking about like it's a gosh, did not expect this one this morning. It was talking about, it's a women-driven devotional, and it was talking about like you as the woman, like bringing the peace to the household, and like are you creating like chaos and division and like strife, or are you bringing peace? And I was like, I don't know, every time I read things like that or like any of my devotionals, I always feel like I'm a beginner. Like I always feel like I have so much work to do and I'm just sitting there telling the Lord like, I'm so sorry. Like I know that I've, been argumentative or that was the word it used. Or done this or done that. And so that was really encouraging to hear you say that, honey. Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, baby. Of course, I love you.
People are vomiting.
I love you. No, but and that was just our conversation. But like I said, is us saying that very short phrase of being like, this is what we want to teach our daughters that was the conversation that led to a bigger conversation. But I think when I said it to you, I said it in a way where we're like, we're just going to tell our daughters that they need to give another man peace. It was deep. That's what I said. Yeah. And it sounded like you're like, oh, okay, that's very chauvinistic and very misogynistic in a way. But what we were saying was that I know on a daily basis, there's some days where I can probably be a headache and not be peaceful. But I think in the overarching thing is that that is important for someone to understand, because that's all that guys want. And that is the consensus. I think a lot of women don't understand, not that they don't understand it, maybe don't think that is the number one thing. And that is the number one thing for guys. I'm here to tell you that.
It's really cool to hear you say that. And I feel like a jerk now, so I'm sorry. It's just a bit. Like that was just a bit I was doing. Like I just think you're so precious, and it was just funny. But no, I think that in our culture, like it's so female empowerment driven, but it's not the same femininity that maybe the Bible speaks about.
Mm-hmm.
And did not know we were going to get into this heaviness, but it's just crazy because I'm like all about it, in the sense of like, obviously I want, women to feel confident in this and that, but like, it's so cool to hear you say that, because that just confirms kind of like the confidence that God wants us to have, like confidence in being peaceful, confidence in being like kind, confidence in being, like loving and nurturing rather than like maybe the most opinionated person in the room. And don't get me wrong, that's your girl. But at the same time, it's like, what is serving me and what's serving my relationships and what's ultimately making me the most confident or the most healthy for my relationships. And it's just interesting to think about that. And I just probably got really controversial on our first episode, but yeah, that's really cool to hear you say, because I feel like going from my season of singleness, especially in a very pop culture driven industry, to being married, and like obviously I've always been a Christian, but like really recommitting myself to discipleship, like that's been a huge growing period for me. And that's just really cool to hear, like from a man's perspective, what is like important to them and their soul, not just like, I don't know, in dating, like, oh, she needs to be able to hang with the guys, or she needs to be hot, like not that sort of stuff, but like what's gonna like for the long run bring like peace to your soul.
And I think, like I said, just to like not moving away from this point, but I think just closing this out or bringing it full circle is that is something that anybody can do. Because I think sometimes when like you talk about now dating in like 2023 and I'm on an app, and you have to put your social preferences, and you have to put where you like to go, where you like to eat, and so those people try to match up with those things, where it's like, if you just present it as, this is who I am, and I'm here to just give you just overall peace within whatever situation you're going through, 9 times out of 10, that guy's gonna be like, man, I can just sit here and have a conversation with her. I don't feel any sort of pressure. I just feel as if she's listening to me, and vice versa.
So kind of just a friend.
Exactly.
Like just non-judgmental, accepting.
Yeah.
And that's gender neutral.
Yeah. And I guess I'm always speaking as guy to girl, because I'm not a
right.
Men to woman, because I'm not a woman. So I can't speak.
You're not?
No, I can't speak from the other side, but I would agree that that's probably a top 3 thing that a woman would want as well, is just peace. But I know
for sure,
from a guy's perspective, like for us, that is the number one thing. I know it's the number one thing for me. So.
Yeah, like I'm already kicking myself for saying the like very opinionated thing. That was the wrong term to use. It's not that. It's like, it's the same thing where we want a confident man, but we want a humble man, right? Like we want a man that takes charge, but we also want a man that's like able to sit there and listen and be gentle and be soft and be empathetic and all the things. So it's not about like a woman can't be strong and they just have to bow down and surrender. Like it's not that. No. It's the
and that's hard. And that's hard to. Sorry to cut you off.
It's the balance of like of knowing, yes, having opinions important, having your own thoughts, your own identity. That's all important. Absolutely. Yeah. But like in a marriage, which we're learning about, first year of marriage has been wild. A movie.
Literally.
Which I'm sure we'll get into a million times over. But anyways, we're just learning like in the context of that, like it serves our home more to like have a balance of both things, you know, like it serves our friendship more to be a good listener while also being someone with a strong, bold voice. But you know what I mean? Like it's 100%. It's the balance.
100%. I completely agree. So that was really good. I'm glad
oh my
you
gosh,
started yeah, you tried to roast me and tried to flame me, and then it turned into a segment. So there you go.
Well, okay, so now that we've talked for almost 20 minutes or something, 15 minutes, about our lives, I guess we'll say our names in case you're coming across this and you're not our parents or our siblings.
Yeah.
My name's Lacy Cavalier Carmichael.
Ooh.
That part's new.
Ooh. My name's Jackie Carmichael. I'm Lacy Cavalier Carmichael's husband and accessory.
Oh no. And we got married in September of last year, September 30th, 2022. That still feels crazy.
Yeah.
And fun fact, when we got married, we filled out our marriage certificate wrong and we're not legally married until like a month ago.
Whoever let me drink and get to the bar before I signed my marriage certificate, that's on them. And that was bad management on their part because there was a lot going on. So the fact that they didn't drag me back in after the fact, no wonder we had to fly. We literally flew back down there to then do this all over again.
I can't talk about it. It's like, triggering.
Yeah, I had to break into the U.S. Postal Service mailbox to get back a thing we didn't even put a stamp on.
As I was very non-peacefully screaming, crying in the car at having a panic attack.
And I didn't necessarily break into it. I had to go back in and ask the lady if she could open it up.
Yeah, so not breaking into it at all, asking for permission. Anyways, that's our wedding's a whole nother story for another day, which podcast, we have a month of podcasts in Istanbul to give y'all. So, Anywho, but yeah, so I am a singer and songwriter and model, and oh my gosh, is this her Wikipedia? Like, I feel so weird when I say stuff like that because those like professions can come off like you're trying to like flex like at a house party. Like, what do you do? I'm a singer. I'm kind of a triple threat.
You are a triple threat. You have a couple wiki pages, don't you?
Stop it. Stop, Jackie. No. Okay, we're not even going down that road. Anyways, so I'm one of the arts, though. But for the last, I guess kind of my whole life, I've done it all. I did acting as a kid, and then I sang for a decade and wrote songs and all the things, and I plan on doing more of that in my future. But in 2020, we met, and Jackie
technically we didn't meet in 2020.
Okay, that's also another podcast we'll get into. But anyways, we started dating in 2020.
Correct.
And for the past decade of Jackie's life, he has been playing overseas basketball in any and all countries in the world. And that was very literally foreign to me because I had never, I'd been to Mexico, but that was only, and Australia. Oh my gosh, flex. Anyways, but I hadn't ever been to Europe. And so I started visiting him, and then we will tell our whole engagement and that whole story in the future. But he is a basketball player and brilliant finance mind and graduated in fashion and design, and so he's all the things creative and smart and hot and wearing a cutoff tee with his muscles out. Don't think I didn't notice. Don't think I didn't know it was intentional.
No, like Lacy said, I am a professional basketball player. I've played overseas for 10 years now, almost going on 11. And yeah, we met in 2020. I am from Manhattan, Kansas. You didn't say where you were from, baby.
I'm from Minden, Louisiana. Shout out.
Shout out. I'm from Kansas, Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple to be exact, not the Big Apple,
town,
not the Big Apple. Yeah. Born and raised, went to Manhattan High School, where we actually have, like, you'd be surprised how many people we have from that high school that like are just like doing very random.
No, same. Manhattan High School breeds stars. I just want to be clear.
They do. I'm with one right here.
I'm just sitting here. I can't believe we're married.
I can't either.
That's like wild to me. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, let me finish my intro.
Sorry. Sorry.
Marriage.
Go ahead.
But no, yeah. I grew up in Manhattan, Kansas. I lived on the East Coast for a year in Connecticut, at an all-boys school. That's a whole other story.
Oh, yeah. I lived in LA for a year. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
All right, we shouldn't have a podcast going to turn up to the One Up podcast.
Are we doing? Oh, that's a good name.
That's actually fire. 2 for 2 on the day.
We'll do One Up merch.
Like One Up, like I think One Up podcast is actually fire.
Okay, we literally can't already do a rebranding. We haven't.
No, you can always rebrand.
But we have to like be a brand to rebrand.
If Cookie Crisp and the Keyboard Elf cookies and everyone can rebrand and do all that, then so can we.
Have they rebranded? What were they before Cookie Crisps?
Well, I'm like Cookie Crisp. They like had a dog and then they moved to a wolf and like they redid the Keyboard Elf.
One person noticed that.
I did.
Well, that's a you thing.
That's
a you and Lucas thing.
Somebody or there's been a lot of they've rebranded a lot of logos. They've rebranded a lot of things. People always start off one thing and then turn to a company to turn a different name when it works better.
Okay.
All right. Vote on the first everyone vote. You can vote for we shouldn't have a podcast package. Vote for a One Up podcast.
Washap. I like Washap. Bash.
All I'm saying is One Up podcast. It's out there. We'll see. People will make their own opinions. Anyways.
I like it as like merch, but I'm just
correct.
That out there.
Anyway.
We have to tell him about Lucas.
So Lukey Bear, my Lukey, our Lukey, he is our 4-year-old son.
Yes, so he did not come from my womb. It is Lucas is Jackie's son from his previous marriage, and so he is my little nuggie, my little stepson. But we will refer to him as our son just because he's my son too. So, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
I'm sure you'll hear him running around in the background at some point in time. He is all things Pokemon, all things building, all things Legos, all of that. So yes, he is a brilliant little 4-year-old.
He's gonna be the best big brother one day. Well, he has a little sister right now, but to our future more children. But no, he's awesome. We'll have him get on this summer when we're home.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Lukey, me, you, and Lukey, and then we should tell them about Istanbul, and we're living here. Were you wanting to tell them about Illinois State?
No, that's a whole other. I could go on for a whole other 30 minutes. I played at Illinois State.
Oh my gosh.
Had a basketball career there. It's where
Duncan and Ish.
Yeah, it's where basketball kind of like took a turn for it. Changed my life. In a course of probably like a year and a half, I ended up going to a camp, and through that camp ended up changing my life. And then from that point, decided I was going to become a professional basketball player. I went to school thinking that I was going to graduate, get a 9-to-5, become a PE teacher, or do something. It ended up hooping. So it was like, it's honestly pretty crazy.
You would be the hottest PE teacher.
Dead.
Oh my gosh, okay, wait. So the whole dead thing, when we're like, I'm dead, like with with jokes.
I know I need to stop.
I know. And I'm trying to find an alternative. So every time I say it, I go, when I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dead. I'm like, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive.
I love the expression though.
Well, it
And our
just
4-year-old
works.
son goes, you shouldn't say that.
Yeah, he goes, that's a rude word. And you know what? You're right. He's right. He's absolutely right. And we shouldn't be speaking death over our life.
Correct.
So I keep saying I'm alive, but like I need to quit the habit. And so I need to fill it with something else.
Reaper tattooed.
Yeah. But what was it that I said the other day in our DMs? I literally thought to myself, this could be my new alternative. I think I just said this. Ha 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 ha.
Didn't resonate with me. So maybe we'll have to work on that.
Okay, but we got to do something.
We'll do a rework. We're going to rebrand?
Rebrand. I'm not even going to say it right now.
Okay.
I'm not saying it.
I will attempt to stop.
Okay. No, I love that for you and me.
Okay. You actually taught me it.
What? That phrase?
That phrase.
Oh,
like
no.
you were the one that said it, and then I actually loved it, and then because it was better than being like, that's hilarious.
Oh no, but we should go back to that's hilarious. You were originally like onto something.
I was gonna start busting out laughing.
So we mentioned earlier, and I think I cut you off about Illinois State.
We were talking about Illinois State. We were just talking about like I said, that is a.
We'll have you get on with Christian at some point. Christian is his younger brother who lives with us during the summers, and y'all can talk about basketball. But I don't want to be present for that because
y'all can come to 5 Sports Network if you want to hear about sport.
Yeah, so Jackie does another podcast called The Athletes Fund, and he has 5 Sports Network, and he shares all things about athletics and finances because that's like one of his biggest passions, and it all goes over my head, but I always think you sound beautiful when you're talking about it.
Yeah, no, sports business, it all goes together. I feel like for a while, like it was like the whole thing of that should be separate, and then obviously they can go listen. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but I had an experience early in my professional career with a bad financial advisor.
Yep.
And that's what led to the podcast. So
yeah, it's really good. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you, baby.
But anyway, so yeah, what else should we talk? Okay, so we live in Istanbul.
Why we're in Istanbul.
We are currently living in Istanbul, Turkey. I cannot believe it. Like when I think about it, it's still just wild to me.
It's crazy. Because we weren't even
supposed
to live here. So I don't know if you want to explain that or.
Yeah. So
briefly,
we thought Jackie was gonna retire from basketball. That was a brief era. And then he was retired for like 2 months, and then he got an offer to go to Korea last year, and we were like, well, can't pass this up. So we moved to Korea for 2 months, and it was incredible. We were in Seoul, South Korea, and then that season ended, and we went home for the summer, and we had our wedding planned for September. And overseas basketball starts in August, so we were like, he obviously can't go at the beginning of the season, so typically after the season starts, there will be like another round of people getting signed to teams just because people get injured or like players don't work out at certain teams or whatever, so they need to switch up. So we were like, we'll just see if you get any offers after the wedding and after the honeymoon. So he was getting some offers, but we were like still debating on if we wanted to do it. And then one day we were on a little date. It was a Saturday, and I was taking him to go see a movie because he's a big movie guy and I'm not a big movie girl. So it's a treat when I take him, and we were walking into Chewy's. Oh, we live in Nashville, by the way. I've lived there for the last 10 years. So if you know Chewy's, you know Chewy's. Anyway, so we're walking in, and like they're walking us to our table when he gets the text or call about the offer to Turkey. And before we even order our food, we're already signing. He's already counter offered and signed the contract, and we were set to leave Monday morning. So,
like right before Thanksgiving, literally.
Yeah. So the week of Thanksgiving. Yeah. So Jackie has lived all over, and one day I'm gonna quiz you and interview you on all your travels because it's one of my favorite things to learn from you. But he has always told me Turkey is one of his favorite places he's ever lived. He's lived here multiple times for basketball. And so when he got the offer, we were like, you know what? Why not? Like that would be so fun. You've always talked about it to me. I want to experience it. And so he signed to Gaziantep basketball. And that would mean we were living in Gaziantep, Turkey.
Correct.
And so we up and moved Monday, Thanksgiving week, to Gaziantep. And that was, November. And in February, Jackie was on an away trip for a game, and I had flights booked and everything to go with him, and all the other wives were going. There's so many imports on this team, like so many Americans and Canadians and people that speak English, basically, and they all have wives and girlfriends. So there's so many women, and it's been incredible. So a lot of times the women will like
travel with the team.
Yeah, go together, and we'll just all hang out, like if it's a cool place that they're traveling or whatever. So Istanbul was like going to the big city from Gaziantep. Like it's exciting, you know, it's like going to New York. And so we had all booked flights. Well, a couple days before, I ended up canceling my flights. Just felt like I was supposed to stay back.
Well, you had been like the week prior as well. Like you had been like 2 weeks prior. So it was just kind of like it wasn't like, oh, well, I just don't want to go.
Well, and y'all were staying in Büyükçekmece, which is like, what, 45 minutes from...
It's a suburb of Istanbul. So it's like an hour outside of like where we're at in Istanbul.
Where you would go and do like touristy things or whatever. It's still an amazing area. Just didn't feel necessary for me to go.
Yeah.
So I stay back, and I get snowed in for like 2-3 days.
2 days, yeah.
Couldn't leave the apartment. And I was like rocking with it. I was fine. I was like feeling so creative. I remember I was on the phone with your mom. And like the night before the big thing happened anyways. And I was like, I just feel like this is the best decision. I'm like having such good me time and like just being creative, all this stuff. Well, I go to bed that night, and at 4 a.m. I'm woken up to the earthquake.
Well, explain. So this is the thing that I always find the most, like one of the most things I find the most fascinating about this is that when people are in earthquakes, I had never really been around anybody that had experienced an earthquake. So explain them, because when I think of earthquake, I think of things moving side to side.
Yeah.
So when you call me and all of that's happening, explain how things were going, because, and I'm sorry if this, like, we just had an incident yesterday. It's like Lacy still has really bad PTSD from this. And so I'm actually really proud of you bringing this up and doing this. I know it is hard for you.
Well, we're currently sitting on the 26th floor of our apartment building in Istanbul, where like they're, what is it, projected to have like
okay, all right, we're not getting into all that.
The worst earthquake known to man in the coming years.
They've been saying that for like 30 years.
No, I know, but like now that I've lived through it, it's like you really realize how small you are as a human being and how little control you have over natural disasters. Like you have not little control. You have no control. And I accept that it is what it is. Like if something's going to happen, it's going to happen. But like my body is still not there yet. Like I physically sometimes can't keep myself from like freaking out. But anyways,
I get that.
I won't go down that road.
No, I get that. I just was...
Oh, sorry.
I don't want to say fascinating. I want to choose my words wisely. That the building felt like it was spinning.
Yeah. It felt like I was on a tilt-a-whirl. That's the best way I know how to put it. Yeah. And so I was woken up to that and had to figure out how to get out of my building. And then that's a whole, again, I've said this 8 times on this podcast, but there's so much to like tell you all about. And that's definitely a podcast in itself, of my experience with the earthquake. But long story short, after the 5-6 days that I was stuck in Gaziantep, the team ended up sending all of us home for like 10 days because what else were we supposed to do? Like the city was living in our gym. Like everything was shut down.
They thought the season was over with.
Yeah.
And at that point too, we were competing for, like we should have, and this is a little bit of a sore spot, been in the championship of the game that's being played this week of European teams.
Yeah.
And so that was a reason for us to come back. But As far as gyms, everything are concerned, like I believe that the season was going to continue from the fact that Istanbul has 18,000 gyms, and they were
Not
gonna,
literally, but
not literally. I mean, a lot of
a
gyms, and
lot.
so they were going to be able to find a place for us, and
Yeah.
people were obviously wanting to help us. So, you know,
So with all of that being said, after
Yeah.
the 10 days at home in the States, we were just waiting to hear what was going to happen if the team was going to drop out of all of the leagues together, or if they were going to relocate us. In a couple different cities in Turkey were
Yeah.
being talked about, but ultimately they landed on Istanbul, and so we moved to Istanbul with the 2 suitcases that I had like been able to run up and pack before evacuating Gaziantep. So yeah, so now we are living in Istanbul, and we've been here 2 months, and we'll be here 1 more month, and then we head home. But yeah, that's why we live here. And that's why we're doing the podcast, not because we live in Istanbul, but because of all the other reasons stated for the last 35 minutes. And I'm just excited to do it. Yeah, I'm excited to do this with you, and it's just fun. We're going to talk about all the things. As you can tell, we can't really stay on one train of thought. So come along for the roller coaster.
it's all right. It's all right to jump around too.
Yeah.
The jump around format.
And we'll be drinking our coffees, and
For sure. I'm definitely going to have a coffee on this for sure.
Yeah.
That's not even a question.
So thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. And even if you didn't, we're not going to stop. So seriously, I'm just happy to be doing this with you.
Yeah, I
I just
am too.
have pure joy in my heart right now.
Yeah, it's
So
awesome.
this was fun.
It's fun. It's fun. I'm happy. Thank you for having me on as a guest.
Oh, shut up. This is our podcast.
No, it is. It is 100% our podcast. I'm just giving.
Kind of.
I'm
I'm kidding.
giving
I'm
our
kidding. I'm
hard
kidding.
times.
And we'll talk to y'all tomorrow morning.
All right. We
Sound
will talk
good?
to y'all tomorrow morning. Yes. Thank you
We
guys
need
for listening.
We need a farewell, like signing off. 3, 2, 1, blast off.
I was trying to think of something. Farewell to
To
you,
you,
my
my-
friend. Was
No.
that Barney?
Farewell to you. Isn't that the sound of
Yes.
music?
Yes. Yes.
We should watch that. I'm so glad you brought that up.
I
Okay.
think I got something else.
Okay, God bless you guys.
All right,
Love
thank you guys for joining. Yeah.
Peace. I don't know what to do.
Press.
Okay, bye.